In this video, I've collected the 7 weirdest species of fish to keep as pets. I've got species like one that literally has no eyes, the smallest in the entire world, and even a fish that can walk on land. Yeah, these fish are weird. But to start us off, the first weirdest fish is in this container. This is an archer fish, and all I'll tell you is this guy isn't called an archer fish for no reason. It has an absolutely insane special ability. So to get started, I got out a giant fish tank to build its home. I started with the basics like soil and sand, but started adding tons more decorations like rocks and tree branches. And I even put some overhanging branches, as this is very important for the archer fish. You'll see why in a second. Finally, I filled up the tank with water and it was ready for the archer fish. Hope you enjoy your new home, boy. It's nice in here. Now, archer fish are very territorial, so he immediately started to swim all around the tank to make sure he was alone. And when he realized he swam up to the top of the tank to start patrolling the branches. You see, this species doesn't eat normal fish food. They only eat live insects. So I got out a bag of small crickets and put them on top of the tree branches. And this is where the special ability kicks in. The archer fish immediately noticed the crickets and got into position. And after barely sticking its mouth out of the water, it shot out a stream of water to try and hit the crickets off the branch into the water. Yes, this fish has literally evolved over millions of years to shoot literal water beams at overhead insects so it can eat them. And this guy, well, he's got pretty bad aim. Yeah, he kept missing the easiest shots.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
But eventually he knocked one in the water and swam right up to it to gulp it up. And yeah, he wasn't good at that either, but he eventually got it.
Oh, you got it. Dang, that was actually super cool.
That guy's gonna be an amazing pet, and in this video, there's still 6 even weirder species of fish to show. In this next one, well, you're just gonna have to see it for yourself. These are eyeless cavefish, and as the name suggests, these fish quite literally have no eyes. You're probably wondering how it even eats food, swims, or does anything. I don't really know, but I guess we're gonna find out. But first, I got out the tank and started to attach rocks to the back, because I want to make this fish tank look like a cave, because you know, we're putting eyeless cave fish in here. We got to make it look like their natural habitat. And once all the water safe spray foam dried, I filled the bottom up with a bit of soil, sand, plants, decorations, and all that stuff. Alright, so I was trying to make this look like a cave, and it's not the absolute best, but hopefully you get the vision. You know, it's a cave. Anyways, I filled it up with water and got the weird eyeless fish out. Okay, if I'm being honest, I'm kind of confused on what these guys are going to do when I put them in here. I mean, they literally don't have eyes, so are they just going to like swim right into a rock and get brain damage or something? I don't know. I guess we'll see though. So I released them in one by one, and as I expected, this guy straight away swam right into a rock. Bruh. But apparently that was just a one-off occurrence, because for the most part they actually acted pretty similar to normal fish. So before I fed them some food, I did some research to figure out how they act so normal, and figured out it's because they have this thing on their body called a lateral line system. Basically, it's a bunch of nerves that can detect super slight water vibrations and help them navigate around. Okay, now this is the fun part. Since these guys are blind, we're gonna see if they're actually able to even eat food. I got these pellets. So I sprinkled them in and they started to sink to the bottom. And almost immediately, the fish's insane scent of smell kicked in and one started to go crazy. And within seconds, the rest of them joined in, and as you can see, they were going insane, eating up all the food off the floor like a bunch of piranhas. Yeah, eyeless cavefish are super cool and super weird, but we still got way more fish that are even weirder, including one that can walk on land. But next up, I've actually got 2 different weird species I'm gonna pair together. In this container, I've got both glass catfish and upside down catfish, which, you know, are both catfish, so they fit pretty well together. Anyways, before I show you how weird these species are, we gotta first, of course, build another tank, and this one's pretty similar to the first. Sand, rocks, wood, stuff like that, you know, and I want to especially make this one look like a swamp, so I even made sure the water was a little murky, and then I was done. So the first weird fish I put inside was the glass catfish, and if you're wondering why they're called glass catfish, it's because they're literally made of glass. I'm just kidding. They're actually made of fish, but they're called glass catfish because they're completely see-through, if you're wondering. If I put my finger behind the fish, you can literally see it through it. That's pretty weird, you gotta admit. Anyways, while these guys adjusted to the tank, I also added in the 2 upside-down catfish I had. Now, this will probably be a shock to some of you, but they're actually called upside-down catfish because they swim upside down a bunch. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. Now, the reason to why they do this is because their favorite food is algae, and when they're upside down, they get access to the parts of rocks other fish can't reach. It's actually pretty smart. Now, normally, if I was upside down this long, I'd get a headache, but I guess they're fish, so I don't know if fish get headaches, to be honest. Alright, now I could just feed these guys just, you know, normal fish pellets, but I think it'd be a lot more interesting to feed them something cool so we can see the food inside their bodies. So that's why I've got this. Apparently it's just some frozen turkey heart, daphnia, and spirulina. Yeah, I don't know what any of that is, but it's probably gonna be cool to see inside their body. Let's drop it in. So I dropped in a few of the cubes, and immediately they started to dissolve into a bunch of tiny little food that floated around the tank. A few of the ghost those catfish immediately went and picked it up off the floor and slowly started to chew it up and swallow it. But after they swallowed it, I couldn't see the food in their body anywhere, and apparently that's because their stomach is actually right here. Yeah, I don't know why they have the stomach so close to their mouth. Like, what if they sneeze too hard? The stomach might just like fall out or something. Well, now that the catfish have been fed, it's time for weird fish number 5, which is easily one of my favorites. The 5th weird fish is in this container. Yeah, I know it looks like there's nothing in here, but that's because this thing is called an Amazon leaf fish. It literally almost never moves, and in fact, the only way you can tell it's a fish is its super tiny fins and its eyes. But don't let this thing fool you. It's actually a fierce predator that will eat anything. But to show you that, we gotta get its home built. For the tank, I wanted to make it look like the bottom of an Amazon rainforest river or lake or something. Now, I didn't really know how to do that, to be honest, but I just stacked up a bunch of pieces of wood so it looked like tree roots. And after filling it up with some water, you could tell it had this orange hue to it, and that's because I let the tannins from the wood soak into the water because it's super healthy for this fish. So I scooped him up into his brand new home, and immediately he went into hiding. Let's play a little game. You have 5 seconds to find the fish in the tank. Let's go. He's somewhere in here camouflaged. And did you get it? He's right here. Yeah, basically impossible to see, especially when he's in the cloudy, tannin-filled water. Anyways, one of the coolest things about this fish is how it swims. You see, while most fish swim by flapping their back fin around back and forth, this guy needs to look like a drifting dead leaf. So using the super tiny fins, it flaps those barely enough to propel his body around the water. And yeah, it blends in pretty well. Now, in the wild, these guys mostly eat live fish, but I'd feel bad feeding them a live fish, so instead, I've got another idea for some live prey to feed it. Basically, I got this little toy that apparently lets you hatch your own pet shrimp from eggs, and I'm gonna feed them to the leaf, of course. All right, everything's set up, and I think there's gonna be some stuff hatching in here in like a day or two, so I guess I'll just come back, cut it in. All right, it's been a couple days. I don't really know if I did this right, but if you look closely in there is actually a bunch of those little, I don't really know what they are, but they're swimming around. Something's alive in there, so I'm sure that's a good sign. So I used a little pipette to suck them out, and as you can see, there's a pretty good amount of them inside of it. Then I just sprayed them all around the leaf fish and waited for him to ambush them, or something like that. But I'm gonna be honest, he didn't really react to them at all, and he didn't eat any of them. But of course he has to eat, so instead I got out a pack of frozen shrimp, which are a lot bigger, and surely he would eat. I dropped them in right next to him, and it didn't take long until he started to suck them up one by one. Looks like he's enjoying it. Anyways, this guy's gonna be a great pet, but there is still 2 more extremely weird fish species, with the last one of course being the walking fish. It's very cool. But for now, fish species number 6 is in this container. Yes, this is literally the fish. It is the smallest fish available to buy on the entire internet. It's called a chili rasbora, and no, this is not a baby or anything. It is literally a fully grown adult. I don't even know if it'll be able to eat those tiny little pellets since it's so small, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, for its tank, I bought something to match its size, the smallest one I could find on Amazon. Oh yes, this is super cool and super big. As you can see, it's about the size of my hand. Okay, it's not big, but for some reason it looks like a Lego block. I don't know why. And it also came with this bag of supplies like rocks and some super bad decorations. So yeah, get this trash out of here. For the build, it was pretty simple. Just some sand, rocks, and little twigs. And after filling it up with water very carefully, it was ready. All right, the little thing's ready, but I did just realize that we're actually kind of demoting him. We're giving him a smaller cage. But hey, I'm sure he won't mind. I mean, he's a small guy. Let's just scoop him up. And just be free, my friend. Welcome to your new home. Now, ignore how the water's a little cloudy in here. I can't exactly put a filter on the tank since it's way too small. But anyways, look at how much the chili rasbora is enjoying his tank. You know, swimming around and stuff. Yeah, he loves it. To feed him, I dropped in some of the pellets like I was saying earlier. And while he was swimming around looking like he wanted to eat them, he didn't actually eat any of them. And yeah, even if he did try to eat them, I don't even think they'd fit in his mouth. Like, to be honest, it's so small, I don't even know if this thing has a brain in its head. It might just be on, like, autopilot, going around in random directions 24/7. Bruh. But anyways, if you thought I was gonna keep this guy in here, you are wrong. That would actually be kind of mean, since they need a lot more room than this to swim around. So I scooped him up and actually added him in the tank with the catfish, since those aren't aggressive at all, and it has the perfect conditions. And I even added in 5 more of the same chili rasbora species, so they could school up and be friends with each other. Very cool. Anyways, that's it for the tiniest fish I could find, but now it's time for the fish we have all been waiting for. The walking fish, which I have inside of this container. But quickly before showing you that, I just want to thank you all for all the love on the merch. I've seen tons of comments of you guys saying you really like it, and because of that, it's selling out pretty fast. There's only a few of these items left, like the sticker pack, so if you think they're cool at all, make sure you go and check them out on the website. I'll remind you guys at the end of the video, but for now, let's go back to the walking fish. Now, the walking fish in this container is actually called a mudskipper, but this one in specific is named Franklin, and he appears appeared in my most popular video. But it's been 6 months and he's changed a lot, so I want to show you the new and improved Franklin. But before I can do that, I want to build him a new home, since his old home that I built for him is pretty old at this point. So I got out an enclosure and started by putting lava rocks along the middle and using spray foam to seal them up. You see, for walking fish, you need a land area, but also a very shallow water area so they can stay wet and swim around. And first I started with the water area by putting down some aqua soil, sand, and then some rocks and pebbles to make it look more natural. And I finished it off by sticking around some sticks. See what I did there? Sticking around the sticks? Yeah. Anyways, for the land area, I used some coconut fiber for the base and covered it in a different type of dirt, which will have a more mud-like consistency once water is added. I finished it by putting some sticks around and a little bit of moss. Simple, but good. The final step was to add in water to the right side and then also a bunch of water to the dirt to make it muddy.
Alright, you can see after we added the water, this basically turned into like mud, which is perfect for the mudskipper, of course. But the problem with this is it's super moist and mold can actually grow here super easily. So to fix that, I've got this pack of springtails, which are basically they're little bugs and they eat mold and stop mold from growing. So yeah, I'm just gonna put them in there like that. Nice.
Just like that, the enclosure was finished and ready for Franklin to be added. Welcome to your new home, buddy. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Now, if you didn't see the previous video about the walking fish, basically, they can swim around like a normal fish as expected, but in reality, they actually spend most of their time out of the water. And as you can see here, he is an absolute expert at that. As long as their skin is wet, they can breathe just fine outside the water, just like a frog or something.
Now, if you guys saw the last video about the walking fish, Franklin is actually deathly scared of crickets, but it's been about 6 months since then, and well, I got some good news, guys. He kind of likes to eat crickets now, and I'm about to show you exactly what it's like. It's actually pretty cool to watch.
So I dropped some inside, and they immediately started to walk along the bank of the water area. Not a great idea, considering Franklin was watching their every move. But even after some of the crickets got extremely close to Franklin, he kind of just ignored them. He wasn't scared of them or anything, but he just wasn't eating them. So the crickets got off lucky today, because I guess Franklin just wasn't hungry. So if you want to know what it looks like when he eats crickets, just imagine a cricket and then imagine Franklin eating it. Yeah, basically that's it. But anyways, Franklin is easily the coolest weird fish in this video, because fish, they're not supposed to be able to walk on land. That's just weird.
Before you guys